this team has just been so good in so many facets. It's a very deep team. We've got a guy on the club right now who's got a league record point streak in progress. So every time last night he scored the first goal of the game, boom. Now we're up to 35 games. Let me put this in perspective, guys. 35 games for Justin McDonald, has a point in every game since December 1st.
Unbelievable.
Here's the other thing that was crazy. So I keep milestones and stats for the guys because that's part of the play-by-play guys gig, right? So I go in and he just hit 300 pro points in January. The other day I'm running through doing the math. He's already at 357 pro points. 81 points in this scoring streak in those 35 games. 81 points. It's unbelievable what he's doing.
Tom, they got the 5-2 win over the Motor City Rockers last night. They'll play Motor City tonight. Puck drop 7:35, and then the Sunday afternoon game. They currently stand at 113 points. The Motor City Rockers did snap the River Dragons' 16-game win streak. But if you look at the River Dragons having the best record in the FPHL, the next best team is the Binghamton Black Bears with 104 points. You got the Carolina Thunderbirds right there in second place in the Continental Division with 100 points. Which team in the FPHL would be the biggest threat to the River Dragons in the playoffs?
Are you ready for my surprise answer?
Let's hear it.
It's the Columbus River Dragons.
Wow.
This team cannot beat itself. And sometimes they have. Even if it's only for a period at a time. They might take a little nap. But the team that can beat Columbus is Columbus. And whether you get a little full of yourself because you're having success, whether you're like, oh, we've won 16 in a row. And you know what? I think it's good that you get punched in the nose after winning 16 in a row because it brings you back to reality. You can't win every game. And sometimes when you're having that kind of success, you're on that kind of streak, all of a sudden you just find yourself, I don't want to say, well, I guess sometimes it is being lazy, right? Instead of stopping, you just turn gently and keep on going to conserve your momentum. Well, now you take yourself a foot or 2 feet away from where you need to be instead of stopping here. Completely different defensive or offensive angle. You stop doing those little things that are so important in every single sport. And so Columbus can beat Columbus. Now, if I'm going to answer the question you are asking me, Carolina has a thing for Columbus, and that's why it's such a great rivalry. They always get up to play us. 2 of our 4 losses this season have come against Carolina. Carolina has most of its team back together. They are ostensibly as healthy as we are, as anyone can be in March of a long hockey season. I think they are always a threat. And Binghamton is a very good team, but we haven't seen them this season. Most of the play is within the division. So it's kind of hard for me to assess Binghamton. I feel like Binghamton's a little more top-loaded. I think that if the River Dragons are able to shut down the Black Bears' top line, they can have success against that Binghamton team. So maybe Carolina is the bigger threat because Carolina is so deep and so talented, just like Columbus is.
I think that is a great answer, Tom. And again, we're looking forward to seeing the River Dragons bring home their first championship since 2021 when they won their first championship. So hopefully this will be the season. I think also with a team that is from start to finish really been the best team in this league. I would agree with you. I mean, you would have to beat yourself. That's like the same thing you say about in college football, NFL, any of the great teams, the top teams. Usually they have to beat themselves for them to lose a game. And I think with as talented as the River Dragons are, is what you've talked about, Tom, I agree with that. I do want to mention a little bit off topic in terms of like on the ice and more about Tom Callahan, because again, like I said, you're big in this area. Let's talk about Callie's Corner and how that even started, how people can, and what does it entail and how people can start following that. I think that's a nice venture that you started.
So the River Dragons YouTube page, which is at Columbus River Dragons, carries the broadcast live. So in the FPHL, all the games home and away are broadcast on YouTube for every team, at least one team. So for instance, Motor City didn't have a feed last night. Their fans were watching our feed, but that's fine. The game is still covered and it's still free for everybody. So, well, we have this YouTube page, right? So now I start thinking, well, what content are we going to put on this YouTube page? And I had some ideas. We actually did briefly bring in a broadcast assistant, but he ended up moving on, and that's fine. That's the politics and the business and how things go. But started a segment of doing a weekly practice report, which has morphed into Callie's Corner, along with now a podcast of our radio coaches show that reappears a little bit later in the week. We also do our Kinetic Credit Union Saves of the Week. We put those out weekly as well. So some extra content, some highlights. We are now going to, with the off season coming up, we're going to have a little bit more time to stretch our legs and really explore the depths of what content we can bring. But the idea is, I mean, it's fairly simple, but in this day and age, we are all now, and I say we, meaning sports teams or entities like yourself and your show, we are our own newspaper, our own radio station, our own TV station. We generate our own content. And so that is the most important thing I think we can do. And that's why, we started doing that with the YouTube, and we've done an excellent job on social media. Olivia Crew, who's our social media director this year, has been fantastic. I think she's done an awesome job. The team's presence is growing all the time, and it was time to expand it over to the YouTube side.
I think that's a great thing, and I completely agree with you. And honestly, a lot of the stuff you do, I don't want to say I mimic, but I watch and I ask you questions. You know this, Tom, because everyone in this area, we're all working on the same team. I feel like because we're trying to bring notoriety to Columbus teams in this area. But with the River Dragons, I mean, I guess I want you to really harp on the social media aspect, the stuff you're talking about, the community involvement. How big is that, especially for lower tier? Minor league teams like the River Dragons, for them to be successful long term, you got to get in the community. You got to put out a lot of content, don't you?
You do, and especially if you're going to capture the younger fan. I think we already have the fans who are hockey fans. The people who love hockey and live in Columbus, Georgia, know we're here, and they come to some, if not a lot, of the games. Our challenge is to bring people who casually are saying, maybe I'll check out a hockey game. Well, how do you do that? If they know nothing about hockey, nothing about the rules, if you have a truly athletic play, something that looks amazing, I think in any sport that would translate, but those don't happen every night. So now what you have to do is you have to take your players, your coaches, your staff, and put those personalities out there. They're likable people most of the time. They have good sense of humor, and some of them are just like you and I. They read the same books, listen to the same music, watch the same TV shows. And when you're out in the public, I think that lets people see a little bit more of who you are. And so we've had some great deals with partners this year. So doing Eat with the Team events. We've been at Texas Roadhouse. We've been at Applebee's. We've been at Chick-fil-A. We've been all around the area trying to get the guys out there in the restaurant. And it's a little more casual. You can get a selfie with the guys. You can talk to them a little bit, get an autograph. I think that interaction is what's important because it forges a bond. It forges a bond with the community and the team. And I mean, our guys are out, at the hospitals, and they're out doing the community engagement things. They're going to schools, reading to kids, career days, all that sort of thing. So, I mean, it's really a matter of building that bridge to the Chattahoochee Valley community. And that's what Columbus wants to do.
Exactly right.
Tom, how is it for the team playing under a coach like Jerome Boom Boom Bouchard that expects excellence from his team? And how's the team gelling under Coach Boom Boom Bouchard's philosophy?
So it's interesting because Boomer is, as a former player, as a former champion in this town in Columbus, Georgia, he truly does know what it takes to win. He's definitely a player's coach. And I think his attitude is a little bit towards this point of the year. He feels like he has been putting his message out there for months now. And now he really needs the guys in the room to take that message to heart and lead the team themselves as much as they can. Yes, he's still behind the bench. He's still coaching. He's still X's and O's. But the accountability needs to shift from answering to the coach to answering for each other. And I think that's what builds a championship team. And I believe the accountability has shifted as we've entered the spring here with this team. And I think that that's the kind of building that they're doing. It's now you come back to the bench, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. There's not one man to answer to. There's 15. And that's a lot more responsibility and accountability to do the right thing and play the game the right way.
And you see again, I may allude to all the other sports, but you see the teams that win championships, usually they are self-coached. The coach doesn't have to do much in terms of accountability, responsibility, holding his team accountable, because you're going to have leaders and guys you're talking about. They're going to hold the rest of the team accountable. The coach has got to worry about the X's and O's and who to sub in when. And that makes a championship team. What are some of the things coming up? I know we have a home game tonight. You're live right now. I guess, can we call this Callie's Corner right now in some part of the arena? Anything going on tonight or coming up in the next few weeks? Any type of promotion or anything going on for Columbus area people to come and see the River Dragons?
Yes, this is my little corner of the world. I'm up in the press box right now where I do the games from. So tonight is Phoenix City night, discounted tickets for Phoenix City employees. So if folks are coming out, come down to the box office with your Phoenix City employee ID, if I could just go ahead and say that. Tomorrow, Sunday, 4:05 p.m. final game against the Rockers. Nothing too crazy going on, but then we have only 3 home games left, believe it or not, guys. April 5th, April 6th, and then April 13th. April 13th is Fan Appreciation Night. It's the final game. We're trying to pack it out. It's our final family 4-pack night, which is brought to you by Chick-fil-A Midland and our sister station, Kissin' 99.3. $40 will get you 4 tickets, 4 popcorn, 4 Pepsi products, 4 hot dogs, and then 4 Chick-fil-A coupons, all for $40. But that's only through our office. You cannot get that at the box office. They will look at you funny. So come down to the River Dragons office or call 706-507-4625, 507-4625. The other one I got to put out there, because we were talking about Boomer earlier, but Boomer and all of his cohorts and some guys from that championship team come back and they play in, drum roll please, Legends Weekend.
Okay.
Legends Weekend is coming up April 5th and 6th. And I know a lot of folks look forward to that. It's a lot of fun to see, the old veteran Cottonmouths and even some River Dragon vets get out there and they'll play a game on the 6th before our game. But the whole weekend is dedicated to Legends Weekend. We're even doing some Legends of the Chattahoots on Friday night and kind of saying our goodbyes to baseball from the Ignite Sports family. I know I'm going to miss the Monsters and the Chattahoots quite a bit this summer. So, but that's what we're doing the whole weekend. It's going to be an awful lot of fun. And that's the 5th and 6th. And then the 13th is the final home game. Playoff seats are already on sale because we've clinched a spot. Now we're just trying to clinch the division and clinch the entire league so we have home ice all the way through. But, playoff packages are on sale already, guys. We're that close. 11 games left.
Wouldn't it be pretty cool to be hosting up that trophy here in Columbus? I think that is what everybody wants. So go out and support. By the way, the April 5th and 6th, the Food Truck Festival is back. So that's a huge event that happens in Columbus. That's honestly probably a couple miles. It's at Woodruff Park from the Civic Center. So when you get done at the Food Truck Festival, make your way over to the Civic Center, watch Boom Boom Bouchard and all the legends play, and then watch Columbus Lions hopefully clinch home playoffs throughout the rest of the regular season. So it should be a fun weekend here in Columbus.
Come on down, and after you're done with the food trucks, just take a few laps around the Civic Center, kind of walk off those fried Oreos that I know you're all eating. Don't tell me you're not, because you are. And then, come on inside and watch some River Dragons hockey. It'll be a lot of fun.
I'll tell you, I'm going to be emceeing it. I've emceed that event for the last 6 years, Tom, and every single time, the way I entice the people, I was like, listen, I'll talk about you. Just throw me a little appetizer. Throw me something that I can talk about when I'm on the microphone. But then I end up gaining 5 to 10 pounds every time I do something like that because there's about 60 food trucks. But thank you so much for coming on, Tom. Final question I do want to talk about is Bites and Brews, a place that I went to 2 weeks ago. I actually took my girlfriend and her kids, had a lot of fun there. I know it's more for adults, but for kids, it's family oriented. It can be for kids, can be for adults. After about 8:30, I think is when they start making it where it's adult friendly. You're actually doing something with them every single week, and you told me there are 15 teams in a trivia night that you were hosting. Talk about that, Tom, and how people can come and see you host it.
Actually, Chris Poirier is going to love that you led me into this. But so I used to do a lot of trivia nights before in my former life as a DJ. I used to do clubs and happy hours, and so I did trivia nights as well. So we brought back a trivia night at Bites and Brews. It's going to be Wednesdays at 7:00. Now, I'm not going to be hosting this Wednesday because the team is leaving at 5 for a road trip to Michigan, but I am writing the quiz. It's a lot of fun. And it's 5 rounds, 5 questions at Bites and Brews every Wednesday night at 7:00 upstairs. They have an upstairs and a downstairs, so it's upstairs. And what was great about it is in the final round, that's where you got to kind of gamble with your points a little bit. And we had 2 teams come from pretty much last place to finish first and second, which is wild. And it's always a lot of fun. And as a matter of fact, they were shocked that it happened. But it's fun. I'm not going to pigeonhole the whole thing into sports all the time. It's general knowledge. We were all over the place. I did geography and current events, and even did a category. This is one of my favorites. It's a category called Dead or Canadian, where you have to know if the person is dead or Canadian. And once around, we have one dead Canadian. So it's just an awful lot of fun. I like to have a good time. I like to have a lot of laughs with it. And so, Wednesdays we'll be doing that on the regular.
Well, I won't be there this Wednesday because you're not going to be there. But the next time, I promise you, we will be there. And hopefully all the Georgia Alabama Sports Live supporters can be there. I love a good trivia night. All right, Tom, tell everyone where they can find you on social media, when you at your coach's show, how they can watch the game tonight if they don't come in person. Floor is yours. Promo Columbus River Dragons.
All right. Well, if you do want to come down tonight, 7:05 puck drop here at the Columbus Civic Center. 6:30 is our pregame show, so you can listen on 106.9 Rocks on the way in on the radio. But tickets available at the box office starting at just $11. We are playing tomorrow, Sunday, 4:05 p.m. You can catch me on Twitter or X at Callahan on air. I also have a Facebook page, and you can tell it's me because I'm drinking a Tim Hortons coffee and wearing River Dragons gear, and there are two giant River Dragons behind me in the photo. So if you want to follow me over on Facebook, you're more than welcome to do that as well. But a couple of home games left here, Motor City tonight and tomorrow. And then looking a little further down, by the way, I failed to mention, but I should, the last 3 games of the regular season, 2 on the road, and then Fan Appreciation Night, April 13th, against the Carolina Thunderbirds. You could not ask for a more intense way to end the regular season.
Yeah, so you like Duke, North Carolina, you like Alabama, Georgia, or whatever rivalry, I guess Boston, LA, when it comes to NBA, that is what you get in this league when you talk about the Carolina Thunderbird and the Columbus River Dragons. Thank you so much for joining us again, Tom. Good luck tonight, and look forward to seeing you real soon, man.
All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Take care.
And that is Tom Callahan of the Columbus River Dragons. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we got Lee Snow from the Columbus Lions. So we go from the River Dragons to the Lions right here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. We'll be right back after this, live from Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. Get ready to smile.
It's truck season at Glenn Smith Chevrolet in Opelika. Check out the powerful full-size and fully loaded Chevrolet Silverado LTZ, discounted up to $11,000 off, or the roomy midsize 3-row SUV, the Chevy Traverse, discounted up to $7,750 off, and the perfect size Chevy Equinox up to $7,750 off. No payments until summertime. Over 350 new and used vehicles on the lot or on the way.
Get ready to smile.
It's truck season at Glenn Smith Chevrolet in Opelika. Check out the powerful full-size and fully loaded Chevrolet Silverado LTZ, discounted up to $11,000 off, or the roomy midsize 3-row SUV, the Chevy Traverse, discounted up to $7,750 off, and the perfect size Chevy Equinox up to $7,750 off. No payments until summertime. Over 350 new and used vehicles on the lot or on the way.
Get ready to smile.
We love being able to go to the different high school, colleges, middle schools to live broadcast sporting events around the area. Georgia Alabama Sports Live appreciates all the fan support, but without a presenting sponsor like Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC in Opelika, none of this would be possible. So we want to say thank you so much. Go to glennsmith.com. That is right, glennsmith.com. See all the inventory and see why people always say, get ready to smile. Thanks, everyone, and thank you to Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC for being our presenting sponsor. Hey folks, Thrift Behringer here from Georgia Alabama Sports Live. We love being able to go to the different high school, colleges, middle schools to live broadcast sporting events around the area. Georgia Alabama Sports Live appreciates all the fan support, but without a presenting sponsor like Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC in Opelika, none of this would be possible. So we want to say thank you so much. Go to glennsmith.com. That is right, glennsmith.com. See all the inventory and see why people always say, get ready to smile. Thanks, everyone, and thank you to Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC for being our presenting sponsor.
I'm cheesing. I'm cheesing as hard as I can right now. I'm literally trying to cheese so hard that my smile falls off my face. Because why? We're at Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC where they say get ready to smile. And I promise you, I'm going to be smiling as long as they're partnering with Georgia Alabama Sports Live. And we plan on them doing that for a long time. And welcome back, everyone. It's the Georgia Alabama Sports Live show, live in the showroom of Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC here in Opelika. They have a deal going on right now. 15 grand off the the Silverado Sierra GMC. Hold on, those are 3 different cars. Those are 3 different trucks, man.
Either one, Silverado, Sierra, or GMC.
My gosh, man. The way he had it written, it's like, dude, that's a different truck. So 15 grand off either Silverado, Chevy Silverado, a Sierra, or a GMC. You're getting 15 grand off. If there's a combined truck like that where GMC, Chevy are creating this monster truck, I guess, I don't know what it's going to be. It's going to be a Transformer, whatever that is. And you're getting 15 grand off of it. Sign me up. But no, 15 grand off right now at Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. And we got on our next guest. This guy, me and him met over a year ago. He allowed myself and Jonathan Shusky Buckets to call a Columbus Lions game in which Jonathan Shusky said it was like watching a kid get pistol whipped because the Lions were winning so bad. But it's the general manager of the Columbus Lions, content creator, a guy that has made a huge following for his content on TikTok, on Facebook, Instagram. Make sure to go and do that. It's Lee Snow. Lee, thank you so much for joining us, man.
How's it going, guys?
It's going excellent. How about that intro right there, Lee? You
That's
like
pretty
that?
good. That's pretty good. I still get comments from individuals about old Jonathan's calling of that game.
Yeah.
He did a great job. It was it was funny. It was really funny. They asked for it though, so it's fine.
Especially when you talk a lot of trash before the game. I mean, what'd you expect to happen?
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So we're going to make this between Lee Snow, maybe Casey Smith, and then also Damian Daniels. We're going to have a rotation of Lions on every week as we start the season. And thank you so much to Lee, who was the catalyst to allow me to be the play-by-play announcer this upcoming season, and all the ownership group for allowing me to be a part of it. Looking forward to the first home game coming up April the 12th. But let's get to know more about the general manager, Lee Snow. So, Lee, talk about your background, where are you from, what led you to Columbus, and how'd you get involved with the Columbus Lions?
Yeah, I grew up just south of Huntsville, Alabama in Arab. Played sports growing up, went to college for music ed, then went to preaching school in Memphis, and then I came here to preach. I'm a full-time preacher my real job that I joke around is I'm a full-time preacher. So the Lions are, something that I do on the side technically, but it's fun, super, super awesome to be a part of the organization, to bring some family friendly. Dang, that's hard. I talk for a living, y'all.
I know you do.
Family friendly environment to Columbus. It's a good time. So we have a blast, and season just started last week, and it's going pretty good so far.
Yeah.
So
Keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's funny that season started on St. Patrick's Day. We didn't really need much luck in that win last week. But they could have used some, I guess. But anyways, yeah. I pride myself in I love to trash talk, and so sometimes it gets me in trouble, but it hadn't yet this season, so we'll see.
Yeah, well, honestly, Lee, that's a lot of your following is ruffling some feathers in a family-friendly way on TikTok and stuff. So we want that here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. I promise you that.
The Columbus.
Oh, go ahead.
Lee, the Columbus Lions are the longest running organization in the Fountain City since 2006. 2 years ago, a lot of uncertainty when Coach Jason Gibson left to take the job at the Jacksonville Sharks, who are now playing in the AFL. And then the NAL decided to discontinue the Columbus Lions membership. You step in as the general manager. They go into the American Indoor Football Alliance. It was a very unknown league, a lot of travel teams, but the team, it seemed like they didn't skip a beat because they were playing with practically NAL players. And you have players that are homegrown talent like Jarmon Fortson, and Darrell Green that wanted to play in their hometown. And what a fantastic season that Marcus Brooks had last year. And it seemed like they just blew the doors off everybody in the league, won the championship against the Mississippi Raiders. Now they're back in the American Indoor Football League, a league they left in 2016 when they won their last championship. But what is that transition like going from the NAL to the AIFA to now the American Indoor Football League? And really, what is the buzz around the city for the team?
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny. We decided to leave the NAL, notified them, and then before we could get it out, they announced that they were terminating us. So that was a fun little day for the Columbus Lions. But we decided to kind of step back a little bit from the NAL and do a smaller tier, smaller league last year, just to kind of get our feet under us. But the teams we played were what they were, and we had fun. We did good. They did good too. But we were a little bit higher caliber on the roster than they were expecting last year. But this year moving into the AIF, it's a much more competitive situation for us, which we're excited about. Last week we opened up in Amarillo, 47-26. I'm gonna call Coach Crayons and just ask him what that score was after this is over. But we opened up, and again, last week I think it was a little bit of the beginning of the season jitters on the Amarillo side. They're a better squad than what they showed, I think, but we also we're coming for them. So we didn't pull punches. When they got on the bus, I told them to make sure that if they had the chance to run it up as high as they could get it, to make a statement when we're coming into the league. And they did pretty well. If it weren't for some of the penalties, we would have done better. I think we gave them 2 touchdowns there. So of that 21, we gave them 2 touchdowns because of some penalties that we're working on. Coach Daniels is doing a good job getting the guys ready for this week. And so really that first kickoff return was the only thing they did on their own. We'll give it that. But yeah, this week we face off Mississippi. Well, next weekend we face off in Mississippi. And it'll be good. Mississippi's came with us into the AIF this season. And so they're making a run at going up a level, and we're kind of back to where we're used to, which we're happy with. But it'll be a fun week in Batesville this weekend.
Yeah, it will be. And I'm looking forward to April the 12th, which is the first home game. It's Military Appreciation Night as well, correct? Am I correct on saying that?
Military Night is June 8th. June 8th.
But there is something
April 12th
happening.
is our First Responders Night.
First responders, sorry.
Yeah. So if you go to columbuslions.net, go down to the ticket tab, drop down to First Responder Night. All first responders can submit how many tickets they need, and they can get free tickets for their family to come in and have fun that game. Our goal is to really pack the arena out for the first game to show people what we're coming with, and also it's a rematch against Amarillo, so that'll be a good little game that they'll be ready for. I think they had 2 starters out last week. Those starters are supposed to be back by the time they come to Amarillo or come to Columbus. So that game will be a tough one, I think, but I'm pretty confident that Damian and the guys have got it covered. So.
Yeah, I am too. And speaking of Damian, I'm glad you mentioned him. Good transition to giving the Nighthawk the opportunity to lead this team. When you think Columbus Lions, obviously one of the first and probably only players you really think of is the Nighthawk, because he's one of the greatest players, not in Columbus Lions history, but I think in the history of all arena football leagues. I don't care what level it's on, Lee. I think you'll agree with that. So what was the move, and how was it like talking with Casey and Richard and all the other ownership group and saying, you know what, let's give Nighthawk, let's give Damian Daniels, he needs to be in charge of this team. And then you got Bruce Figgins, you got a great staff. But talk about why'd you decide on Damian? Yeah,
Dame is, of course, kind of a household name when it comes to Lions history, but also he's just a good dude, man. He's upstanding. He's respectable, super trustworthy. So that was that was a plus. And you know, having someone with that caliber of knowledge of the game, you know, I think our DBs get it pretty rough at practice. I'm not gonna lie, because they got the best DB to ever play arena football coaching them. But our defense is looking amazing because of it, and our offense is doing great too. So it was fun to talk with him and kind of mention it to him. I think I don't remember exactly how the conversations went, but I think it was basically I called Dame and said, "Hey, what would you think about this?" And he was like, "Let me know when I start." So I was like, "Well, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it right. We're gonna do an interview process. We're gonna go through the whole thing." He was like, "Okay, when do we want to do the interview?" So he was on board from the moment that I called him. And Casey and Richard are two kind of leading owners. We have a bunch of owners, bunch of great owners from local and also from international owners. They were all on board with having Damien come in. And it was fun. I worked the social media for the team in 22 when Damien was a assistant coach, and I got to play, and it was amazing to watch him play. And so I was excited when he was open to talking about the head coach job for sure.
Lee, let's talk about some of the quarterbacks that have put on the Columbus Lions jersey. You talk about the former Auburn Tiger, Jeremy Johnson. You got Mason Espinoza, Darren Daniel, who played at Central. He also played at Stanford. But let's talk about, we have that transition. Also, Daniel Smith did a phenomenal job in a couple years ago. But Marcus Brooks, he's entering his second year as a Columbus Lions player. How did you recruit Marcus Brooks to come play for the Columbus Lions? And what is his style of play that reminds you of some of the Columbus Lions quarterbacks from the past?
Well, Brooks, first off, he's an amazing guy. He really is. He's a firefighter in his real life.
I did not know that. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, he's a firefighter for he's gonna text me when this is over. It's either Macon or Warner Robins, and I always get
he's
him.
in Macon because he went to Southwest, big supporter of the Southwest Patriots.
Yeah, so I always get him confused of which town he's a firefighter in, but yeah, he's awesome. He had played for a long time and was somewhat local, which is a huge plus to us. We try to focus on local guys. One, it helps us just admin side. But it also helps us kind of get more of the hometown feel. Some of the teams in our league are housing 100% of their players. And, I personally, I think it's good to have these local guys that are good, that play at the level that we need them to play at, so that their families can come to the games and it feels more of a home atmosphere type thing.
Absolutely.
But he's really good. Now he will tell you he's not one that's going to take off and run for a touchdown unless he absolutely has to. But that's okay. We don't need him to do that. His throwing ability is everything we need, and he's really good at it. He's got a great head on his shoulders, and can really do what we need him to in a pinch for sure.
All right, Amarillo Venom, that's who we just played. We got the Cedar Rapids River Kings. We got the Corporate Christi Tritons, Harrisburg Stampede, and of course you mentioned the Mississippi Raiders, who was on the back end of some tail whoopings last year, and we're not going to mention too much about it, but I know.
We're going to mention it. We're going to do that same thing next weekend. Don't worry, it's going to be.
Trust me, they have circled. They have circled, and I've had some players from Mississippi because they just appreciate when we were live streaming their games last year. Lee mentioned about, hey, we can't wait to get back in Columbus, and I'm like, I'm sure Columbus can't wait for you to come back either. So that's going to be a lot of fun when we see them take on each other next week.
Yeah, for sure. We're in Batesville. We actually don't play them at home unless we see them in the playoffs. So
yeah.
But they've just moved to Batesville, so it'll be a good time to introduce the team to their city. And kind of show what arena football or indoor football is to Batesville, Mississippi, for sure.
And then some future teams. They got the Beaumont Renegades, the Flint River Gators, and then the River City Rage. Those are teams potentially they're going to come to the league next year. There are 6 teams in the league this year in the Columbus Lions. have a good chance, just as any one of them, to win it all. And honestly, if you're asking my opinion, and I don't know how much my opinion matters in terms of Arena Football League, but I think the Lions are the favorite to win it all. And I think Coach Damian Daniels would love nothing more than to get a ring in his first season as the coach. Lee, I do want to talk about, a little bit of the behind the scenes, man. I take this from my guy, DJ Jones, who, by the way, happy 62nd birthday to Daryl DJ Jones of Sports Visions. Turned 62 today. I'll make a post about it here shortly. Sorry, DJ, I haven't mentioned it earlier in the broadcast. But he likes, and when we do our Sports Vision radio show, we like going behind the scenes. So, let's go behind the scenes, some of the stuff that you've had to do to get the season ready, and what are some of the stuff you're doing to get ready for that first home playoff game, April the 12th?
Yeah, we've had an interesting offseason, of course. We brought in Damian as head coach, Bruce is the assistant head coach, and then kind of reworked our coaching staff completely over the offseason. We moved offices, so now we are inside the arena, which is awesome. We're excited and thankful to the city for putting that together for us. So we are on the concourse behind section 112, which kind of puts us back in our home, which is good. So we had office moving, we had, some new staffing coming in, that sort of thing. But for the most part, the off season was pretty uneventful. Just one foot in front of the other, getting stuff ready, making sure our sales are started and going strong, and the admin side of things, planning out the weeks and planning out the games and things like that. The city worked with us on our dates, which was really helpful. It's always hard to find dates in the Civic Center. One with the Dragons doing so well, and with us doing so well, it's kind of understood that we also need to figure out playoff schedules for both teams, which is a nice problem to have in Columbus, that both of our teams are always in the contention for the playoffs. But the city did really well to work with us to try to find dates that would work. And we found some good ones, and yeah, so it's just been kind of one foot in front of the other, getting everything ready for this season. The trip to Amarillo was kind of our testing ground, because we didn't travel last year. So that was a little stressful, but the players actually made it super helpful for us. Once we got them ready and got them going, we didn't have to stress about anything, which I think a lot of teams, when you put that many people on a bus and send them to Amarillo, Texas, you're always kind of nervous about something going wrong. Everything went perfect. So I was very thankful for that. Our ops crew did a really good job. Coaching staff did a really good job. Yeah, so it's just kind of been just getting everything prepped. We're still not completely ready, but we will be ready by April 12th. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I'm excited about it. Play-by-play announcer Rick Beach will be in the studio with me, in the booth with me, as we call the first game against Amarillo, April the 12th. All right, Lee, how can people go and get season tickets? Where can they find when they're watching the games, content-wise, all the social media pages, and heck, even promote you? Because I don't know if y'all know, we got a comedian, Lee Snow. He is a very funny guy. He likes ruffling some feathers. So if you like family-friendly, ruffled feathers fun, Lee Snow can offer that for you. So floor is yours.
I will tell y'all, I think it might be our most recent post on the Lions social media, but it is the caption this, because old Coach Kranz over in Amarillo said we had 0% chance of winning. And then about the end of the first quarter, I texted our photographer and said, please get a picture of Coach Kranz losing his mind. And so she got a great picture. So we're doing a caption contest over on the Lions social media on Facebook and Instagram. So check that out and give us your best caption. As far as season tickets and watching and so forth, if we are on the road, you go to columbuslions.net/watch, and it is embedded into our website. You can also get your season tickets there. You can get your single game tickets there. We also have floor suites, which we've had for a few years now. Those are getting pretty close to sold out. So if you're looking at one of those, I need you to get with me as soon as possible. There's all that's on the website. You can actually purchase your season tickets straight through the website. You purchase them, then we call you and you get to pick out whatever seat you want and whatever section you want. So all that's we're kind of trying to streamline that and automate that as much as possible. So it's easier for the fans and it's also easier on us for an admin side of things.
No doubt. It's Lee Snow. He's the general manager. And how can everyone find your content on TikTok or Facebook? I know Facebook's Lee Snow, but TikTok.
Yeah. I joke around. I make fart jokes on the internet to the glory of God because I am a full-time preacher. But it's at Lee M. Snow.
I love that. Hold up,
Oh.
Lee. It's saying that you make bar jokes in the glory of God. I mean, that is such a great sentence, and that should be on your tombstone.
I
Lee.
think outside of football for a second. Okay, let me step into let me change my hat real quick.
Yeah.
I'm actually in my office at the church building right now. But anyways, I think people need to see that Christians are fun and that we have fun and that we joke around and but we also understand what's important. And it's something that I kind of live out throughout everything. So yeah. I'm at Lee M. Snow on all the social media if you want to joke around and laugh with me there. There's also some links on those social media to Lions website. So
Yeah.
So you
There you
can
go.
find me and then you can find the Lions and then you can come to the game April 12th and then you can watch me trash talk from the sideline because I am in charge, but I'm also going to let some can I talk to you about your car's extended warranties fly from the sideline.
It's Lee Snow, the general manager of the Columbus Lions. My good friend. Thank you so much, Lee. Look forward to seeing you real soon. And
Appreciate
go
y'all.
Lions, baby.
See you later.
Absolutely. Go Lions. We'll see y'all later.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we got Rick Beach. We got some more here live at Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. Get ready to smile. We'll be back after this.
Hey folks, Thrift Behringer here from Georgia, Alabama Sports Live, and I want you to join us this Saturday, March 23rd.
It's truck season at Glenn Smith Chevrolet in Opelika. Check out the powerful full-size and fully loaded Chevrolet Silverado LTZ, discounted up to $11,000 off, or the roomy midsize 3-row SUV, the Chevy Traverse, discounted up to $7,750 off, and the perfect size Chevy Equinox up to $7,750 off. No payments until summertime. Over 350 new and used vehicles on the lot or on the way.
Get ready to smile.
pack and they're flat for the big route, you're gonna have about 8 times. Most people they take one to 5 car truck for their dream, right? Making that type of big investment, long 10, 15-year investment, they would make sure that whoever they're doing that for is going to take care of them. So how important is that relationship with your clients, with your customers? Building that relationship is not just a transaction, it's something that you will see them in the future because they believe in what you're doing.
Smith Chevrolet and GMC. We're smiling right now because we love our partnership here at Opelika in their showroom. We'll take a break. We'll be back with Rick Beach of Cut 2 Sports right here on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live.
We love being able to go to the different high school, colleges, middle schools to live like Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC in Opelika. None of this would be possible. So we want to say thank you so much. Go to glennsmith.com. That is right, glennsmith.com. See all the inventory and see why people always say, get ready to smile. Thanks, everyone, and thank you to Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC for being our presenting sponsor. Today's broadcast is presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC and Opelika. Go to glennsmith.com for more information. Get ready to smile. Welcome back, everyone. Thrift Behringer here. Richard Holdridge, Georgia Alabama Sports Live from the Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC showroom. And get ready to smile. And I am with Rick Beach of Kudzu Sports. Ricky.
Yeah, you know.
Ricky Beachy in the building, baby. Where are you taking your talents to?
Glenn Smith.
At Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC.
Going to buy one of those monster trucks that Richard created.
Yeah, the Silverado Sierra GMC, no doubt. All right, so, Beachy, bring you in because high school baseball that's happening right now. We gave our high school baseball rankings, some great games that have happened throughout the area, including Harris County. They've been on kind of a tear lately, 5-11. They've beaten Smith Station 1 out of 2 games. They beat Columbus High pretty handily. Columbus High's a good program. Harris County's getting back on the right track. What are you seeing from Coach Tony Dimitri's Harris County Tigers?
Well, sometimes you got to think when you have juniors and upperclassmen, you think a lot of experience, but they don't have that experience with some of their upperclassmen. So it's kind of been learning as you go with the on offense and defense. Pitching wise, you got 3 studs at the top of the rotation: Fisher Cantrell, Brennan Horton, and Andrew Malstaff. But unfortunately, Fisher Cantrell went down with an injury, and another senior stepped up with Cole McLemore. But lack of experience has really been a booger to them early in the year. They're finally kind of coming around to their identity, being a little pesky on the base paths, doing small ball. But when you do that, you got to play good defense.
Yeah.
And they're able to do that at home now. They're a better team at home. On the road, sometimes it steers, kind of rears his ugly head on the defensive side of the ball. But for the most part, they're kind of learning who they are and coming into their own on that. But with the region coming up, me and Richard were talking. You got Northgate this week, huge matchup. You feel you got to try to get 2 out of 3 from Northgate. You feel confident you can sweep Drew, and that leads you into the McIntosh series, and hopefully set you up for a 1-2 seed going into the playoffs.
Absolutely. We talked about McIntosh. It's the state runners-up last year in 5A. And I know they're a tough team. We talked about they got some Major League Baseball prospects coming up, but this tough schedule that Harris County has to play. By the way, they're playing LaGrange on April the 5th. That's going to be a big test. They're the runners-up in 4A. But these region games, the goal at hand for Coach Dimitri in his first season at Harris County is to host a playoff game. Do you think that Harris County's in good position to at least get a number 2 seed and host a playoff game?
Absolutely. You look at the schedule. You talk about LaGrange. They played Colquitt County, Carrollton, 2 7A schools. They've had a rough non-conference schedule. But you were able to get wins against Russell County, Columbus, East Coweta. So you can see that it's there, but, if they had a little bit easier non-region schedule, the record would show it. But, some people look at the record and just take it for what that is, and that's not the case with this. Coach Dimitri didn't create this schedule, so definitely not what you would want for year one. But it's just showing the leadership that he has on this team, how they navigate through these waters.
All right, let's move on from the baseball team that's got some big games coming up. You'll find all Harris County Tigers baseball home games and a few road games for like the north side games on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. There's some news that happened around this area. Corey Black is moving on from St. Anne Pacelli to go to Emmanuel Prep. But let's talk about the move that we are seeing now from Brandon Jenkins, as the Sam Harrison is no longer the head coach at Harris County, and Brandon Jenkins, who's won 3 state championships at Northside, been to 6 state finals. His dad, Murphy Jenkins, legendary coach in this area. Talk about what that move means for Brandon. And we'll have an exclusive interview with Rick and Brandon coming up here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live the next week or so. But talk about what that move means for Harris County. And then what it means for Northside, too, is they get Sydney Carstory to take over the program, a person that played Division I softball, been an assistant under Coach Jenkins for last several seasons, and now gets to be the head person at Northside.
Well, they get Coach Sydney, and they still got Abby Lovell.
That's an all-world play.
With winning the back-to-back state championships. But with Brandon, you get, he's from the Bobby Howard. You talk about his dad, Murph, was at Columbus High with him. The Bobby Howard, he played under Coach Howard at Columbus. Brandon's a winner. 11 seasons as a softball coach. Played for 6 state championships, winning 3 of them, 280 wins in 11 seasons. It's in his pedigree. You talk to him, he's a stone-cold winner. And his kids obviously go to Harris County. He lives up in Harris County. He's always around the ball fields, Little League fields. I was fortunate enough to coach his daughter. I've known Brandon for a few years. But, you can't talk to him that long. You're like, this dude is legit. He's cut from a different cloth. It's a big hire, but you look at, Coach Sam, wonderful person. We love Coach Sam. We've been to the Elite Eight the last 2 years, Final Four the last 2 years with Coach Sam. And I try to tell people, to me, this would be equivalent to when Mark Richt left Georgia if they'd have brought in Nick Saban instead of Kirby Smart right then.
Right.
I mean, you're going from really getting to the cusp of it to getting a guy that's come in and finished the deal multiple times.
Right, pinnacle of the sport right
Right.
now. So big move for Brandon Jenkins. And Rick, you'll be doing that sit-down exclusive interview with him coming up next week. Looking forward when that drops. By the way, if you missed the Corey Black interview that I did and why he made his move, that's on Georgia Alabama Sports Live YouTube channel and Facebook page. Now that we've talked about that, let's move on, and we're just going to, me, Richard, and Rick, we're just going to talk some college basketball, some Brave spring training, and then some spring practice for college football before we get out of here, live from Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. I guess I'll first, we'll start here in terms of spring training for Braves baseball. Our guy Tyler Evans has been down there. He thinks that the Braves are the favorite to win it all this year. Doesn't care. Shohei Ohtani, by the way, how about that nonsense going down as his interpreter is stealing from him, or is Shohei Ohtani gambling and the interpreter's taking the fall for it? We'll find that out. It's just a messy,
Either
crazy
way, it's a distraction to the
distraction,
Dodgers.
and I don't think that's a good omen for them at all. But let's talk about the Braves. What are some of the thoughts you have for them, Rick?
Some of the falls for
No,
them?
the thoughts.
Oh,
thoughts. Yeah.
I think it's big that adding Chris Sale was huge. You look at the top of the staff with Freed, Strider, Sale, and then you still got Charlie Morton at the 4. Who's the 5th starter? You really don't know where Bryce Elder, the option in the minor league. So it's going to be kind of bounced around.
Yeah.
But you look at the top of that rotation, in the playoff situation, when you're the Braves, that's what you're building for.
Exactly.
You build your team for October. The last couple of years, the rotation's been what's bit them in the butt. Last year, Morton going down with his injury, so he really didn't have a 3 or 4 starter.
Right.
And you add in Chris Sale, playoff experience, World Series experience, and it's a lefty pitcher to go against the Phillies, who's with their best hitter being a lefty.
Right. So I think I think this year, the goal for the Braves is let's get through Philly. Who cares? Out of the 19 times you go 0-19 in the regular season, who cares about that? Beat them in the playoffs. That's when it matters. Richard, as we get ready for college basketball right now, in the NCAA tournament, as you see, I'm scratching my head because I just
don't want to think about the tournament.
It really is. It is a travesty. What has happened?
If you pull for a football school, you ain't got to worry about that.
Yeah, and Auburn Tigers just really hurt me. They hurt me. They hurt a lot of people that had them winning it all. My bracket's done. I don't even know if I want to watch NCAA tournament. And I want to say this, and then Richard, I'll let it be yours. Any quick hitters you have in the NCAA tournament is that as much as I love the Cinderella story, as much as I love a good upset, and that's what the beauty of March Madness is, if you really think about it, and I'm trying not to be that guy that is like, dang, you sound like such a hater right now. You sound like a sore loser. But in all seriousness, though, Auburn, or let's say not in Kentucky, but Auburn or anybody else, all right, that had an excellent season, Purdue last year, you play in a tougher conference than a St. Peter's, than a Yale, okay, than a Oakland does. All right, and you don't have, and obviously they don't have the resources you do, but week in, week out, you're having to play against the top-level competition with the ultimate resources and the best conference or conferences in the country. And you go 27-7, you win the SEC conference tournament, and your season's done because one guy got hot. And I know, again, that is why everyone says they love March Madness, but that cannot determine what a national champion is, because ultimately – why do you need to win 27 games, 30 games, win your conference tournament, be a high seed? None of that matters, and now it's more prevalent than ever. In years past, there would be upsets, but in the end, in the Final Four, you're usually going to get a 1, 3, 4, 5. It's going to be the top teams you figured that were going to be in it. Now, you see last year, you got San Diego State FAU. I don't care what you say. If you have a real not a tournament like it's a one-game out. If you put all of them in a conference, there's no way San Diego State and Florida Atlantic are one of the top 10 teams and winning a national title. Wouldn't happen. But this is in the NCAA tournament. Anything is possible. And you get someone hot. Yale played in the Ivy League. they played not near the schedule Auburn didn't matter because all they had to do was win one game, and they're now going on to the second round. I think what Greg Sankey was right. I do think that I don't want to expand the NCAA tournament and add it to 128. I would rather shrink it and have teams like Oakland and Yale have their own tournament where they can win a national title, because no matter what, Yale may have enough talent to win one game, but to win 6, which you need to win a national championship in college basketball, no, they don't have the resources, the talent, the depth to be able to do that. So ultimately, when Greg Sankey's saying they can't compete for national championships, he is right. He's not mentioning a one-game scenario. Okay, yeah, but you're going to have a one-game scenario for 6 straight games? No, I'm just not seeing it. But now more than ever, with the transfer portal and anything else, anything's possible. I don't think it's the right way for deciding a national championship now. I think if we're going to try to change things, why not change it? I know I sound like a sore loser, but it's got to be a hard pill to swallow for a team that you feel like is the best Auburn team that you've seen during the Bruce Pearl era, and they can't even get out of the first round because of some bad calls, because of some getting ejected, because shots not falling, and that's what happens usually when you get an upset, Richard.
Absolutely devastating loss for Auburn, and this is why they call it March Madness. But I think that the turning point in that game, they were up 12-5. Chad Baker-Mazara gets ejected over an elbow, which he should have got a foul.
That was the bad omen. Yep.
He should have got a foul, but it completely flipped the momentum, and it gave Yale signs of life. And even when Auburn was up by 10, Yale was just throwing up some crazy shots.
Every time Auburn would hit a 3 to go up by 10, it happened in back-to-back possessions. Paladakis, the kid, that he averaged like 13 a game in the Ivy League. And again, no offense, but he's not getting recruited by division like the Power 5 schools. He's not. Denver Jones, he's a transfer because he put up 20 a game at FIU, who plays in a tougher conference than Yale. This kid's not getting drafted, but that's, I guess, the beauty of March Madness is he got hot in a one-game scenario. He literally played out of his mind. And the funny thing is when they play San Diego State, he'll probably go 0 for 10. But he's hitting setback threes on a 7-footer's face. He's hitting setback jacks in front of 3 Auburn defenders. Had the game of his life, and that's the beauty of sports, and it's just a hard pill to swallow because you play 34 games for it to be determined by that.
And once again, UConn is going to catch another break. Last year, Kansas got upset by Arkansas.
This has been your thing, Richard.
This is my big hot sports take is UConn has 5 championships. They've all been backdoor championships with the exception of the one where they were a 1 seed in 99. UConn is probably going to play San Diego State, and they're going to advance at least to the Elite. I still think they're going to get beat by either Illinois or Iowa State. I got Illinois going to the Final Four. I'm not an Auburn fan, Thrift. I know you and Rick, you're Auburn fans.
Rick's a Georgia fan. Hold up now. Don't put Rick in that category. He covers Auburn now.
He covers Auburn, but yeah.
And listen, I don't want you throwing my fandom out there, man.
No, not at all.
You called me a fan.
We're all
you fanboying me? No, I'm kidding.
Here's the thing, Thrift. Here's the thing. As a neutral party in this tournament, because no Georgia teams are in this tournament. Kennesaw State, Georgia Tech. I mean, they're all trash. I mean, they're not in this tournament. I mean, it's
hot take alert right now for Richard. He's calling people trash.
Look,
he's
hear
saying
me out.
UConn's overrated. I mean, this is
me
hot
out.
take.
Go ahead, Auburn fan. I'm a Shelley Poe fan.
Look, hear me out, Thrift, because with all the talent that's in Georgia, and the Georgia basketball team should be better.
You're right,
and we don't have it this year.
You're good point.
And
they made it to the second round of the NIT.
Yeah, okay, Georgia's in the second round of the
NIT.
That's
because 17 schools decided they didn't want to go to the NIT.
Exactly.
But like me and Chris said, that's like kissing your sister. You won, but
you're the NIT.
You're in the NIT.
Look, and you're right. My bracket is trash because I picked Kentucky to go to the Elite Eight. I mean, I had some good picks, but my Final Four is still intact. But I still think that this is why they call it madness. I mean, let's talk about Kentucky losing to a 14 seed Oakland. I mean, they lost to St. Peter's 2 years ago. I mean, this is just – I'm sure Kentucky fans right now are just, okay, how much is John Calipari's buyout? $35 million? Do you think that John Calipari's on the hot seat?
I don't think you can win with freshman players like you did
Not
in the past.
at all.
I think now with the transfer portal, it is harder now than ever. And with NIL deals, kids are not motivated by winning championships. They're motivated, especially – the guys that he's going after, they're motivated about getting paid and getting to the NBA. And if that's the case, it's hard winning a championship when it's a one-year rental.
He should win because he'll be there at the NBA draft. Reed Dillingham and Shepard are going to be top 5 picks. I mean, so Kentucky won right there. Look, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander could be competing for the MVP. Tyrese Maxey playing at a high level. I mean, you still have Anthony Davis, who won a championship for Calipari over a decade ago.
I mean, hot take. I think John Calipari's been one of the more overrated coaches in the history of the sport, going back to when he lost the national championship in 2008 because his team couldn't make free throws when Kansas hit that miracle shot by Mario Chalmers. How about then when he had a number one team, and I think the best talented team.
Absolutely.
Not just 2015 when they were undefeated, but 2010 when they had John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, Patrick Patterson, and they lose to West Virginia. Going to 2015, undefeated, they lose to Wisconsin, Sam Decker, giving them buckets, doing setbacks. This has been a continuous thing you have seen with John Calipari, not living up to expectations. And, again, it is hard to win 6 games when you have a team like that it's full of freshmen. So I don't think that's a hot take at all. I don't think they fire him. I really don't. I think that is a bit of a stretch.
He's going to have to change the way he coaches.
But maybe one more season of losing the first round, maybe they'll do that. I'll tell you this. I'm not giving any more predictions. I'm not saying who I think the favorite is. I'm just watching the NCAA tournament because throw predictions out. Because, again, if you look at Yale compared to Auburn, Yale has about 6-7 players they play. Auburn has 10, and yet they lose that game. And you can't take into effect Chad Baker-Mazara getting ejected. You can't take into effect Jalen Williams getting hurt in the first 2 minutes of the game. You can't take into effect that your free throw shooters that are shooting 90% on the season are going to go 0 and 1-if-1s and not even be able to tie the game or take the lead in Denver Jones or Trey Dallinson, who are the 2 leading free throw attempters on the team, and they both miss. You can't take that into effect. Again, that is the beauty of March, but this is why the system's a little bit skewed in terms of college football. It's okay having a one-game scenario when you have a 12-game season because the regular season matters, and that means you're going to get the 4 best teams regardless. You're normally going to get the 4 best teams. In a tournament, the Final Four does not mean the 4 best teams. Are you telling me Florida Atlantic was the 4 best teams last year? No. So I know people are going to hate on me like, Thrift, get over yourself, Auburn laws, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I get all that. But it's something that's been talked about as of recently, and now they're trying to expand the tournament to 128 teams. Hold your breath, please. There's not 120 teams that can win it all. You need to shrink the NCAA
But
tournament.
they don't care about the quality of the product.
They care about the money.
They want the ratings and the money, and that's what it's all. At the end of the day, that's
what's
why
happening in college football, Rick.
100%. That's what it's all about. The ratings in college football. You think expanding the playoffs is going to get better games? You're going to get worse games.
Oklahoma, they would be this year. They would be in the playoffs. They're a team that got beat by 40. Okay, they're terrible.
And what would Georgia have done to an Oklahoma on the neutral side?
Yeah, exactly.
It's been a bloodbath. Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, they want the ratings, and that's what they're going to get. But you're going to lose the quality of the product, which in turn you lose better games down the road because you take out good teams early. And the biggest thing I think is the one league, 1 year. They got to get rid of that if you want to get better because, like, Kentucky can bring in these NBA players, but they're just building an NBA factory. They're not building a team. There's no unity. There's no connection, and that's what you're missing. Would you get that at Oakland? They have a great team. They add one guy, and now they're a tournament team.
Yeah, also, with NIL, those great NBA players that are going to Kentucky can go to Kansas or go to Duke, go to North Carolina, win championships, and go to the NBA. So why are they going to Kentucky when they know they're not going to win a championship?
Because they just want to go to the NBA, and Calipari can do that. He can get you to the NBA.
Yeah, but so can Bill Self at Kansas.
Yeah, Calipari's
so
a great
can Hubert
recruiter.
Davis in North Carolina.
Yeah,
I think Coach Cal is the best recruiter in the
He is,
basketball.
but recruiting doesn't lead to X's and O's and to winning because we've seen a lot of guys that can recruit, which is why I say Deion Sanders. I'm not ready to put him as the dynasty because just recruiting at a high level doesn't mean you're going to win championships.
And he hasn't to an extent. Deion hasn't recruited near as high as you would expect or as high as people try to put
also
out
at Colorado, and then
you're
also your football acumen has to come into effect too. We were going to hit on some NBA, but we're not going to do that today because The show is going a lot longer than I planned on,
I
but
thought
we had
because
some.
it was somebody special's birthday today.
Oh, it is also DJ's birthday too. But we're not going to hit on spring practice as that's coming up. NBA too. We do that next week. So make sure to tune in next week as we go live, as we do every week, and we're probably going to go live again on Wednesday. Me and Richard will be hopefully in the Beck Center like we normally do. And we'll give our NBA predictions. We got talk some college spring football practice. It's March Madness. Last thought right now. We'll hit on some high school baseball. Jordan being an up-and-coming team at 6-7, that's been the surprise team. Columbus is back to 500 right now. But Rick, if I were to ask you, who are the top teams in the area? Who would you say? Do you have a problem with our list, which we have Central 1, Calvary 2, Brookstone 3, Glenwood 4, Pacelli 5, Smith Station 6? Right now, we did not have Harris County in.
No,
but after this week, I can see them moving up.
Well, I think anytime you're talking this year, but it seems to be a down year for the whole area.
And we didn't think that, did we, going into the
No,
season?
And, you look at football as the exact opposite. Everybody in the area seemed to have a outstanding season. But with baseball, you just go central than the private schools.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best way to describe it because after that, it's pretty much a crapshoot on who's where. I mean, you look at Northside. They had a couple.
I mean,
wins.
they're going to make it. Columbus is going to make the playoffs. Jordan's going to make the play. They'll make the playoffs, but that doesn't mean we're talking championships.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. It's the
Championship.
private school and it's Central.
That's
it. But Tony Dimitri, this is only his first season. He's establishing a culture, and you're obviously seeing improvement from a 1-8 start to
Yes,
now being
absolutely.
5-11. That means they are 4-3 in their last 7. They've beaten Smith Station. They've beaten Columbus High. Really competitive teams in this area. So we'll see.
And JV and freshman both have winning records, and so the train's coming, the help's coming. It's
young talent. By the
yeah.
way, there's a school right here. Shout out to Van Riggs, Opelika. They got a great baseball
16
team.
and 4.
They're 16-4. Smith Station is, I think, 11-7 now. And then you got Auburn, who's 500, and of course Central being like number 7 team in the country.
Yeah,
number 7 in the country. But only 2 teams from those will make the playoffs. I'm thinking Opelika, and I'm thinking Central. I think Auburn and Smith Station. Smith Station made it to the Final Four last year, getting left out. That's how good this region is. I honestly think all the teams should make it, and they shouldn't do it by region. They should do it by like a ratings, kind of like what the GIAA does. They don't do it by region. They do it by ratings, so that means one region could have multiple teams in it. If there's multiple teams in that region that are really good, they should be left out and penalized because they play in a tough region. I do want to say thank you to Lee Snow. I want to say thank you to Brian Bonner. I want to say thank you to Tom Callahan, all for joining us. River Dragons are playing tonight. We have next Friday the Mississippi Raiders at home taking on the Lions, who'll be on the road, and then their first home game against Amarillo, April the 12th. Me and Rick will be on the call for that. Looking forward to it. But, Rick, where can everybody find your great work? And looking forward to you being on the call and being a part of Georgia Alabama Sports Live for the future. But how can they follow you on social media?
Kudzu Sports, at Kudzu Sports on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Not as much stuff on the Twitter stuff as usually Instagram and Facebook's where all the information is. They had signing day yesterday, so you can see in there and check out the 11 signees, including the first archery signee they had come out of Harris County.
How about that?
Matt Jennings, so congratulations on that. So, yeah, just at Kudzu Sports.
At Kudzu Sports, Rick Beach. From Richard Holdridge and Rick Beach, I'm Thrift Behringer saying thank you so much at Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. Go to glennsmith.com. They got an inventory full, as Brian was talking about. By the way, I think we had some technical difficulties. You may not hear the Brian Bonner interview, which is okay, because we will have that posted because we're recording it. So we'll have that posted as soon as we can. I promise you we got some great nuggets on there, great deals, including $15,000 off of a Denali over a Sierra or a Chevy Silverado, or if you want to combine all of them into one and make a monster truck, you can, as we talked about earlier in the show. Thank y'all so much. We'll be back here soon, and make sure to tune in next week. We got some great high school baseball, including Tuesday, Pacelli and Calvary. Harris County's got a game, and multiple others. Plus, we've got the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show, March Madness. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone. Get ready to smile, and thank you so much to Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC for live. Today's broadcast is presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC and Opelika. Go to glennsmith.com for more information. Get ready to smile. We love being able to go to the different high school, colleges, middle schools to live broadcast sporting events around the area. Georgia Alabama Sports Live appreciates all the fan support, but without a presenting sponsor like Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC in Opelika, none of this would be possible. So we want to say thank you so much. Go to glennsmith.com. That is right, glennsmith.com. See all the inventory and see why people always say, get ready to smile. Thanks, everyone, and thank you to Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC for being our presenting sponsor.
It's truck season at Glenn Smith Chevrolet in Opelika. Check out the powerful full-size and fully loaded Chevrolet Silverado LTZ, discounted up to $11,000 off, or the roomy midsize 3-row SUV, the Chevy Traverse, discounted up to $7,750 off, and the perfect size Chevy Equinox up to $7,750 off. No payments until summertime. Over 350 new and used vehicles on the lot or on the way.
Get ready to smile.